So as we develop our iPad app, MyPad World, we reach a point where we want to know where do we put our code to set up the animated view. Well, as you recall, we used the model view controller design pattern. And so that would lead us right to the view controller, which controls the view. We need to establish the falling image itself, which in the iPhone version, that's called falling image. And that contains the text string in falling words. And they'll flow down the display according to the value in the speed property. Speed property, of course, controlling the animation. And of course, as with the My World app on the iPhone, with MyPad World, we will enable the user to enter his or her own words for the falling words, as well as change the speed of the animation. We already put in the Light Info button, which is supposed to react to a Touch Up Inside event. We haven't connected it yet. This occurs when the Light Info button is touched and then released, which symbolizes a full click. When that happens, it invokes a method in the view controller to display a modal view, which is a view presented modally like a dialog on top of the main view. And in that modal view, the user can enter new words and change the speed setting. That, by the way, is a primary example of the target action pattern. And what we need to do is we need to declare an action method using the IB action qualifier. And we need to put in a placeholder method for now, corresponding to some kind of settings method that is invoked when the user taps the I button. And that settings method will help us start up the modal dialog as well. So here we are at MyPad World in Xcode, and we need to open up our view controller header file, MyPad World view controller.h, where we have already established the view controller as a class of UI view controller. Well, inside the brackets here, we need to put in our falling image and falling words just as we did for the iPhone app. So it would be a UI image, falling image. NS string should be falling words. Since we're making these up here as we go along, Xcode doesn't know those words yet, falling image, falling words. But as you know, as we get going with code completion in the Xcode editor, it will remember those words and help us in the future. We're going to use the UI image view as an object to display either a single image or a bunch of images, but we're going to use it for a single image. And that will be the image view that we show with the following words. And of course, we need our speed, the speed of the animation. So we also need to declare that action method that we want to use. And we're going to put it right here. This is the action method for the settings. We're going to declare it in our header, and we're going to put a placeholder method in our implementation file for now, but we're going to put it in here. IB action, settings. Now we need property declarations for our accessor methods for the compiler to create. The property declarations are going to be for grabbing these settings from the user preferences, which we're going to build later. But since we know we're going to do that, we will put the property declarations in now. Property, this will be a read-write property, which is the speed, because we're going to be setting it. This property, non-atomic, retain, we're going to retain it as is our UI image view, which we call image view. And finally, this property, also non-atomic, retain, is our string, falling words. So now we've put in what we need to declare in our header, and we're going to move to the implementation file, mypadworldviewcontroller.m. Now, one of the things we have to do immediately, because we put in those property declarations, is to put in the synthesized statements that go with them. Remember, the property declarations tell the compiler that they're accessor methods, but the methods still have to be created. And Objective-C will create them for you whenever you include an @synthesize. So we put them in here. @synthesize, our speed, our image view, and we'll also @synthesize our falling words. And you see, code completion is working. It knows our falling words, it knew our image view, it knew our speed. Now the synthesize statements tell the compiler to create these accessor methods so that they can be accessed from our settings modal dialog, which we're going to build. We need to add one more thing, which is that placeholder for the action method. We're going to put that down here, right under this area where it's marked view lifecycle. In fact, we're going to put more of these pragma mark statements in to block our code out so we can block it into sections. So here we put in our IB action settings method, which we're just going to put the brackets in for, and that's it. So we have the rudiments of our view and just a placeholder for our settings. But we're going to move on and we're going to block out the code with pragma mark statements, which will help us understand what's going on here.